Hello, and welcome back to our podcast, Cut the Headlights. Today we're back after a short break to talk about the most two recent races, Suzuka and also
Bahrain.
Bahrain.
The one that was yesterday.
The one that was yesterday.
It's okay. Honestly, I feel like these 2 weeks, they haven't been that interesting.
Honestly, Suzuka was the most dull race I've seen in a long time, but I liked Bahrain. I thought it was a good one.
Yeah, I feel like just in general, I know I've told you this. I just feel like this season compared to last season, we were so spoiled last season.
Last season was an absolute whirlwind.
There was so much going on. Even before the season had officially started. It's
Agreed. There were so
not,
many shifts and turns.
Yeah. Although I will say Liam Lawson had a major shift. This was actually big news, but also kind of not. Everybody knew it was coming.
It's interesting because a driver being dropped after two races should be enormous news.
Mm-hmm.
However, it was something that everybody kind of expected.
Yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I don't think that's a standard that should be set.
I feel bad, but also I understand. So for anyone who doesn't know, basically Liam Lawson was demoted to RB and Yuki Tsunoda was brought up to Red Bull.
Yeah. Yuki, someone who's been at RB, which is the Red Bull sister team, a little smaller team that still kind of feeds into the larger one. Drivers who go there are supposed to develop and eventually get to the larger, more successful team. And Yuki Tsunoda has been at this sub team for a very long time, and everyone kept wondering when he was going to get the chance. And when they signed Liam Lawson over him, a lot of people were kind of why? Yeah. So even though it's definitely quite a shock, it was something that everybody was continuously pushing for. So nobody was like, wow, I can't believe that happened. Everyone was like, okay, finally.
Honestly, I blame Helmut Marko. There's no other explanation. It's weird. Yuki has been at the junior team, the development team. Shouldn't he be promoted for the new driver to develop at the junior team? Why are we promoting the brand new driver who's done well, but not well enough to be at a top team? Why are we promoting him to that? Especially knowing the standards they have with their drivers.
Yeah, it didn't ever really seem like they wanted to give him a real shot. They just last season they needed someone to replace Daniel Ricciardo.
But I don't know why they didn't just give Yuki the seat in the first
place. And put Liam at RB.
Especially, they were clearly prepared to switch them. I don't understand why you have to go through all that, because that can't look bad. It can't look good for you as a team.
No, and it's from so demoralizing to the drivers that they demote.
And, he's still part of their, overall team. Why would they want to, do that to him? Why wouldn't you want him to just start off in a good way instead of being
Agreed.
2 races, you suck, get out.
Yeah, and the funny thing is everybody expected Jack Doohan to be the rookie who's dropped ASAP, and it turned out to be Liam.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess that was surprising. Mm-hmm. That's true.
Yeah, it was shocking for sure. Kind of, I honestly, I knew it was going to happen, but I did not think they would do it 2 races in.
Agreed.
I know Red Bull's Red Bull, but I was not expecting them to be that harsh. It just seems a little extra.
Yeah, I think so too. But honestly, besides that, there was nothing fascinating about Suzuka. Max Verstappen did win, which was kind of nice. It'd been a while since we saw Max Verstappen win. It'd been a while since we heard the Dutch national anthem play at the end of the races.
I heard that and I was like, oh my god, it's
it
so
was
familiar.
Nostalgic for sure. Yeah. So that was nice. I was happy for him to see him kind of come back and do that, prove to everybody why he is still the reigning world champion.
Yeah. One other funny thing that he did though was he liked this post on social media about how Red Bull's move was a bullying tactic and super embarrassing or something. And he was questioned about it, and he was like, yeah, you saw I liked it. What else do you want me to say?
I meant to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know what you want from me.
I thought that was so funny, because also it's what are they going to do to him? He's Max Verstappen.
No, and what kind of answer do they want? He's not some teenage girl stalking someone's profile who accidentally likes their post. He's a very public figure. These kind of accidents don't just happen if you don't want people to see them.
Yeah. Also, another thing about that, I saw this was a little bit ago, but Franco Colapinto liked this picture of a girl in his merch or something, and everyone was coming at him, being like, "Oh, it's an inappropriate picture. What do you think you're doing?"
But she's just wearing his merch, man.
Yeah. Also he's an adult.
Yeah, and you're an F1 driver. Shoot your shot, King.
Yeah, honestly.
What are you gonna do about it?
I don't know. It's just so extra. These people are aware of what they're doing on social media.
Agreed. But honestly, Bahrain was a much more interesting race than Suzuka. Even like before the race itself started, one thing I thought was super duper cool is this former F1 world champion, I can't remember his name right now, but he was organizing this thing to raise money for dementia awareness. And so it was this helmet, racing helmet, signed by all current living world driver champions, which includes Michael Schumacher, which is a pretty big deal because for anyone who doesn't know, a few years ago he had this really horrible skating accident, which everyone just assumed kind of left him brain dead. He hasn't been seen in public in a very long time. And so they said that like his wife had to help him, which is really sad, but like the fact that his signature is on that helmet is a huge deal. And at the end of the day, like I mean, I think if he had like passed away or like something bad had happened, we would know, but it's always nice to see like a sign of life from someone that
And
you
like
haven't been aware of for
improvement.
a while.
And I remember like people were saying like, oh, he was like aware that Mick was in F1. I think that's just so great.
I agree. I think that's really lovely. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I don't know how like these things happen, but
Yeah.
hopefully he can improve to the point of one day like being in the public
Yeah.
again.
Or even if he's like not in the public, like I'd understand they've been so private with it. I'd understand if they're like, okay, we're gonna have him stay out of the public eye
Agreed.
permanently, but like at least have more like motor functions and things like
Yeah, for sure. Just like to like have more development.
that. Yeah. But
And
it's just like so special to have like a helmet sign from him now. Like
yeah, it's like a
that's
really
great.
big deal. I guess one thing that's not quite as exciting though was Red Bull had a lot of mistakes this race for being such a top tier team.
Yeah.
Their botched pit stops was absolutely absurd. Both drivers at the beginning for their first pit stop, there was an issue with their light that kind of tells them like when they have to stop and when they're allowed to go after they change their tires. And their light was like broken, so like they stayed stopped there for an extra amount of time that they just really did not need. And it's very frustrating because these races come down to milliseconds. So if you're losing 2 seconds because of a freaking light failure, that is absurd and so frustrating and not what should be happening in a top tier team.
It's just like so weird seeing the decline of Red Bull. Like obviously Max won last week and they're not on the decline. But like it's just so weird seeing them be like flawless in 2023 minus Singapore until like now where it's like kind of
Agreed.
surprising that Max won.
Yeah, it's not something that like you expect to happen every weekend. It's
It's
like,
like, oh wow, Max won.
yeah, nice to see you again.
Yeah.
But not only that, they also screwed up Max's second pit stop later. Uh, they were just changing his tires, and one of them just kind of got stuck, and it took again so much longer than it should have. And he ended up coming in 20th after the pit stop, and there's only 20 drivers, so he was in last after that fiasco. I mean, it's really impressive because he fought his way back up to seventh place. So I mean, that does show you like the
It's still
driving
there.
abilities he has. But it's just annoying because like he shouldn't have had to deal with that if the team
Yeah.
like your one job is to change the tires. Like
Yeah.
please just
Yeah. Like
get
they
it
do
right.
so much work for that. It's just frustrating because especially like it's so out of his control. He's physically in the car. He can't get out and like do anything about that.
Yeah, it must be so like
I
those two
would
seconds
be
must feel like an eternity.
so mad. Oh my god.
Same.
But as far as like Yuki Tsunoda though, like he hasn't been doing like amazing in the podiums, things like that, but he's been doing pretty well.
Agreed. And I mean if Max Verstappen hasn't been doing amazing in all the podiums, like
He's pretty on par for a driver who's
yeah,
not Max Verstappen. Um,
agreed.
I'm glad to see in the nicest way possible that he's doing better than Liam because I feel like it would have been really, really
It
awkward
would have been super
if
embarrassing
they
if
did
he had
this
done
whole
worse.
swap and then Liam like comes out in second place the next race when
Yeah, that would have been
Yuki's
like pretty awful.
yeah, but no, Yuki's been doing actually significantly better. Liam has not changed.
I feel
He's
so
maybe gotten like
bad.
a couple places up, but it's just like I don't understand because he drove
Yeah.
last year. He drove the year before and he did good jobs. I don't know where that went. Maybe like the pressure of having like an
Yep. Hashtag
official
mental
seat.
health.
But like he was a good driver. Like there's a reason they took him to Red Bull.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. It's a shame though.
Mm.
Yeah. I don't know. But moving up from 19th to like 17th in the world championship does not really matter. So
No.
it's just a shame for him.
Yeah, but some people have been like a little iffy about Yuki though this weekend because he did hit Carlos Sainz, made him have a huge hole in the side of his car. And Carlos had to retire, and I don't think they did anything to Yuki, did they?
No.
No, he just kept.
I mean, I don't know whose fault the crash was.
I don't know.
But either way, Carlos had to retire, which was a shame for him because he has had a slew of
Real
bad
tough
luck
weekend.
recently. I mean, last weekend in Japan, he was fined an absurd amount of money, 20,000 euros, for being late to the national anthem. And listen, I get you have to set a precedent, but even he was like, listen, I completely understand that being on time is super important. I'm always on time. I try very hard to be respectful. That being said, I was 5 seconds late to the national
Yeah.
anthem and they charged me 20,000 euros for
Also,
it.
I
That's
think he
so
was
much
just
money.
like feeling sick. Like, what do you mean you're gonna? It's not like he was like, I don't feel like getting up right now. I'll get up in a couple minutes, and then he ended up being late. Like he was not feeling good. Why are you finding him for that?
Yeah.
Like I get like, oh, it's really not that much money to them. It's still a lot of money.
Yeah. And like if you miss it in total, like I still don't think you should get fined 20,000 euros.
No.
Like maybe a little warning, a little thing from his team being like, "Hey, like don't let that happen again."
If you miss it in total, I feel like there should be some repercussions. But I don't think these like monetary fines to the drivers. Like I understand like monetary fines to teams. Okay. But to drivers is just weird.
Yeah, I don't think it's doing what they want.
No, like, but like, I get it if you miss like most of the anthem thing or all the anthem, but 5 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
like, it's not enough. But yeah, he's really been having a rough weekend because after that, during the race, he got a 10-second time penalty for pushing Kimi Antonelli off the track. But the funny thing is, because Yuki Tsunoda ran into him and he didn't finish the race, so he wasn't in the final race order, he couldn't serve that penalty. So they ended up giving him a 3-place grid deduction for the next race and 2 penalty points.
That is the most ridiculous thing I've heard in my entire life because let me start at the 10-second penalty. That is way too much time. Lando Norris started the race outside of his box. Like, the one thing you need to do is like line your little car up in the box correctly, and he started out of it. And they only gave him a 5-second penalty. To
And the
me,
start is so important.
listen, I get it probably wasn't on purpose. He wasn't trying to like pull one over or anything, but I would give a 10-second
Yeah.
penalty for not being in the correct starting position, for being a little bit over the line. Like you just can't do that, I'm
Like
afraid.
there's so many chances to like overtake and get a good start at the beginning.
Yeah,
Like it's not like intentional, I'm sure, but he should still get a punishment. And even if it
agreed.
was a 5-second reward, a time penalty, they shouldn't have given Carlos 10 seconds.
For sure. Like just like the disparity between like a racing incident to get 10 seconds versus what I think was a much worse transgression.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just absurd. And then like you think he got crashed into on purpose so he could avoid serving the penalty? Like obviously not.
Yeah.
Like he would have served the penalty if he could. So to give him 3 grid place deductions on the next race and 2 penalty points, like come on
Yeah.
now. Like why are we
I
being extra?
I understand that he saw us to get a penalty for the next race.
Yeah, like I get it,
I
but it's still a
I
little
get that.
extreme.
But I think my problem is more with the penalty points. Because you can have 3 penalty points in a 12-month period. And when you get to 3, as we saw with Kevin Magnussen last season, you have to sit out for a race. So he's already at 2 out of 3. And I don't know how common penalty points are to get, but I mean these weren't very hard for him to get. So it's just like why are we like forcing our drivers to like not like we're putting them in positions where it's like so hard to stay like as I don't know what I'm saying, but like it's like a strong competitor because it's like there's so many things they have to worry about. You can't swear, you can't be political, you can't be religious, you can't show up 5 seconds late. I mean,
Yeah, it's just too much. And like if you're a driver in good standing with them, your punishments are much less severe than if you're a driver who's not,
yeah.
which is so unfair. I think you should have the same regulations for
It
everybody.
was so funny. I saw this video on TikTok of after one part of the weekend. I'm not sure what it was. Lewis Hamilton was walking down into like the garage area, and the president of the FIA was there, like to congratulate him, and he held his arms out like so wide to give him a hug. And Lewis Hamilton just kind of walked by and gave him like a side hug and just left. And it was so awkward because his like arms were literally stretched out. Like it was not a natural way to hold your arms for a hug too. Like literally his arms were stretched out as far as they could go, and he just gave him a little side hug. The president of the FIA, I don't know his name, like patted
Mohammed Ben Salayem.
that man, patted him on the back and he just kept walking. I just thought that was so funny.
Yeah, that's pretty ocky chalky for them too. Something I thought was super interesting in this race was near the end, not quite like at the very end, but like nearing there. Lando and Charles had a really interesting battle on track. It was so fun to see. Like Charles defended very well. I think Lando did a good job. They kept like going back and forth. But what was interesting is eventually Lando ended up passing Charles. However, had he not been able to do that, Lando would have finished fourth and Oscar first, which would mean that Oscar Piastri would have led the world championship, which I think is incredible because everybody keeps just kind of assuming it's Lando's season as if he doesn't have an equally strong competitor in an equally amazing car.
Yeah. Honestly, I will say, like, because I'm more of a Lando fan, like, I love Oscar, but I'm more of a Lando fan. I was just thinking, okay, Lando in the championship, maybe Max could lead. I didn't even consider Oscar.
Yeah.
And it's like,
It's also because he's like still relatively new
yeah,
for the sport.
like you're not expecting that. And
Yeah.
honestly though, like I love that for him. As much as I'd love like a Lando like championship, like I'd also support an Oscar one. He
Yeah.
very much so deserves it. He's
Oscar
a great
Piastri
driver.
wins first world championship, as he said, would be a very interesting story at the end of the season.
Yeah. It would be very interesting. I just think no matter who it is, anybody that's not Max, I'd love to see.
Agreed.
Sorry. No hate to Max,
Eh,
but he's had
I don't
four in
know.
a row.
I wouldn't mind seeing another Max.
He's had 4 in a row. He can give it up.
Yeah.
Honestly though, with the way the season's going, I'm not seeing a Max championship. Like I'm
Me
like I
either.
know after Suzuka, he was 1 point behind Lando, but I don't know that it'd be that consistent throughout the
Agreed.
season.
I know I'm biased because I'm a big fan, but I think the top three most consistent right now this season are Lando, Oscar, and George. I think they have been at the top of their game, each one, especially Lando and George. Just because of the first race that Oscar had poor luck. Not saying like it doesn't happen or that it won't happen to
Yeah.
the other two. It's just since there's only been
So
4
far,
races,
they've had
one
the
out
most
of 4
consistent
he's
results.
had like a pretty poor result.
Yeah.
However, I think like them three plus Max Verstappen have been just really incredible this season. And I mean, things can always change. They can go to winter break, and you never know. The McLaren might be terrible, and the Ferrari might be outstanding, and everything will shift
Let's
around.
hope.
You
Sorry.
never know. I wouldn't mind it. You never know what can happen. But as at the moment, like these drivers are just doing like a really
Yeah.
fantastic job.
But you know who does need to get it together? Ferrari.
Yeah, Ferrari.
Getting disqualified, finishing the first race terribly. What is this? What, they finished like 4th and 5th today? I think.
Something. It was
They
a
were-
relatively good
they were-
result.
High, but not what I want. I need a Ferrari podium immediately. And they were so close the other day, and they just messed it up with their strategy, and I'm so over it, and I need them to get their stuff together.
Yeah, but I mean, already now it seems like they've improved from the first race, so
Yeah.
I believe in them. They
For
can
sure.
always bring themselves into contention. As I've said,
Yeah.
we're only 4 races in.
And I mean, like we saw with Mercedes, not starting off the season strong and then ending off pretty good.
Last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Very
another thing
true.
that was kind of like crazy during the weekend were the graphics. Once again, it's their 75th year doing this, and I know like they haven't had graphics the whole time, but come on. You're making a big thing for your 75th anniversary. You've redone all your graphics to be, ugly. But you're going through all this effort and you can't even make them
Yes.
work.
It kept glitching. George Russell was in second, and it kept like showing him like down to 8th, and then back to second, and then like down to 7th, back up to second. At one point, it had him drop all the way down to 20th, and I was like, "What the heck? Did something happen that they didn't show?"
Yeah.
And then I heard like the commentators be like, "Don't worry, he's still in second. Don't know what's happening there." And I was like, "Okay, but like, what are you doing?" And then they would like take them off completely, and then it's sometimes like the time would get frozen. And like I said earlier, like the Charles Lando fight was super duper interesting. Like I need to see how far behind they are from each other,
Yeah.
and they just weren't like
Yeah.
like
And
it's your one job, graphics
also,
person.
there was a time when there's this one graphic that they'll show like all the drivers where they are on the track in comparison to each other. George Russell was nowhere close to the track. He was like at the bottom in the corner, as far away from the track as possible. Like I know there's no way, like even if somebody had run off to the edges, even in the biggest gravel section, they could not be that far from the track if they tried. Unless they're driving their cars like through the streets of Bahrain.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. And I mean, poor George Russell, because that was not the only technological issue he had. I mean, somewhere like a little bit after halfway through the race, his race engineer comes on and he's like, "Listen, your DRS thing is not working. Don't use it until I specifically tell you to." And then later in the race, like he used it when he wasn't supposed to, and they were considering giving him a penalty, but they ended up not because I mean he didn't like have any control over this. Like his thing was not working. Like it was not intentional. Not only that, at one point his race engineer came on and was like, "Listen, there's a chance your dashboard's just gonna stop working. If that happens, just keep on racing." He's like, "As long as the steering wheel doesn't fall off, like
Yeah.
I'll try my best." But like that's so annoying. Like
That's
that's
just
just like something extra to have to deal with, and it's just like
yeah.
it's become so reliant on technology. Like it's not just about driving the car anymore. There's so many like if you look at a steering wheel, there's so many tiny little buttons and like little screens and like they have to be measuring like your heartbeat and like you have to make sure you're also getting water and it's like if these things are off it's just like a disadvantage and if it causes you to lose attention for a millisecond you could end up in the wall.
Yeah. Although I will say, I think the technology is like good. Like I think we've seen a lot of improvements in the cars. Not us because we haven't watched it for that long, but like overall, like in the sport, there have been so many like improvements with this technology. But like
Like
it's
in
frustrating.
terms of safety, yes, for sure,
I
and
think
like helping people.
I think the convenience of having that technology all in like one place is sort of safety.
I
But it's
agree.
like frustrating when you're spending millions and millions of dollars on these cars, acknowledging that even like the smallest centimeter in the wrong extra in the wrong spot will ruin your car. Like, how is this happening?
Yeah, for sure. And like
But
the only thing like yes, the development of the cars and the car technology has been really cool. The only thing is I think sometimes the car makes more of a difference than the driver. Like the only time you really get to see these drivers matched up equally is when they're teammates.
yeah,
And like even then sometimes the cars are kind of centered and built around one driver more specifically.
Max Verstappen.
Yeah. And so I mean like don't get me wrong, there's always been differences in the cars, but now especially I'm not discrediting Lando Norris. He is a great driver, absolutely,
But it
but
helps that he has the
if
fastest
he
car.
starts in sixth and like you immediately know like in the first turn he's like up to third place like he's fantastic but he's not arguably that much better than some of the drivers who are ahead of
Yeah.
him. It makes an enormous difference to have a car that is so much faster.
hmm I think it's
Same thing for
also
Max Verstappen in the 2023 season.
yeah, but also he's Max Verstappen.
Yeah, for sure, but it helps. I think he
And
would
he's
have.
acknowledged
I
being
think
like
yeah, I think he would have won anyways. But some races he was winning by like 30 seconds.
yeah,
That was
and
definitely
he's
a lot
acknowledged
of
like
the
we
car.
don't have the fastest car anymore. Now look, he's not getting those amazing results. I was gonna say I think that's so cool though how they do it in Formula 2, like with the same car for every team. Because especially when you're there like looking at drivers to move up to Formula 1, I think that's so great. But
Agree.
what I was gonna say also, the most, in my opinion, embarrassing graphic design fail of the weekend was on the podium. They say fourth podium or something, but they've missed the U in fourth. Like, I understand, okay, maybe you're having a problem with the sensors for the timings. Okay, fine. I'll give you that. Spelling the word fourth? There is no technical difficulty other than like incompetence that could make you spell the word fourth wrong. And it's like this is such like an elite sport. This is so like classy and you know like why are we spelling things wrong? Whoever they have like on their like graphics team this year
Must be fired.
needs to be fired immediately because it's just like it's so embarrassing.
Agreed. Last thing I will say for Bahrain is Lewis Hamilton won Driver of the Day. And you know what? That is not who I would have voted. And don't get me wrong, he ran a great race, but he did not stand out to be Driver of the Day. Even the commentators were like, yeah, there's definitely been some interesting Driver of the Day victories this year. And it's like, here's who I think should have instead. Oscar Piastri won the race, was completely dominant the entire time, won by over 7 seconds, absolutely flawless, made absolutely no mistakes. He was so well done in his drive. Number two person I think could have gotten it, George Russell, also ran a great race. Despite these technical issues, in the last few laps, he held off Lando Norris, despite being on much more degraded tires and having technical problems and his car being slower. He held him off wonderfully and got second place. Person who I voted driver of the day, however, was Ollie Behrman. He started P20 and ended up P10.
Ollie.
He ran an absolutely brilliant drive. Also, maybe Esteban Ocon, his teammate at Haas, also ended up in the points. I don't remember exactly where he started, but They were both phenomenal, and I love Lewis, but when you think of the race, nothing he did comes to mind.
Yeah, like he did a good job, but does he deserve it?
No.
No. But I love Ollie Beerman. I'm so happy he did like so well.
Agreed.
I loved his radio message where his dad came on. He was like, "Oh, like thanks, Dad," and then you hear his brother, and he's like, "Hello, Thomas." I think that's just so funny. But I love like
so
hearing the
cutesy,
interactions
little sibling
with like
relation.
their family. Also, another thing I'm sorry that I was gonna say about the like graphics, and this isn't graphics, but it's camera work. There was like during the fight with like Charles and Lando and Lewis, and I think it was like Pierre or something at some point. I don't know, but they are focusing on Lewis and Pierre. Then they cut to Charles and Lando, miss the Lewis and Pierre actual drama, cut back to them after it's happened, and they miss the Charles and Lando stuff. What is that? What is that? We have so many cameras. You're telling me you couldn't put the right ones on the screen?
Yeah, I don't know what was going on with them this weekend. It just wasn't their weekend.
Such a mess.
Yeah, the F1 tech team just needs a little pep talk, I think. But so for today, we are not going to have
real quick. I have more.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Cut that out.
Also, I just wanted to say, like, Kimi Antonelli been doing so well. Like him overtaking Max Verstappen was so good.
Yeah, I mean he did finish out of the points this weekend,
did.
but he is a rookie. He is allowed multiple bad races, as a matter of fact.
Honestly, I feel like he'd be Rookie of the Year so far. Once again, we've only had 4 races, but he is doing such a good job. It's so crazy to me, though, that he's been in school. Like, I've seen a bunch of the TikToks with just Kimi Antonelli hanging out in a classroom. He was asking George Russell for help passing his finals.
George Russell definitely does not know how to do the math.
No, he does not.
None of the drivers do.
I think Oscar's the only one who on the grid right now who finished school.
Oh, good for him.
It's such an Oscar thing.
We love an educated baddie.
But yeah, like it's just so crazy that he's literally in high school. I don't know. I guess Italian high school you finish when you're a year older, because for America he'd be graduated already, well, unless he's really young. Right, but his birthday's in August.
Maybe got like held back or something.
Yeah, he's like really young.
It's something like you can either be like the youngest of your grade or like the oldest.
No, then he'd be the oldest. Yeah, but that's like so crazy. What do you mean he's like a grade above me right now? And he's going to races and then doing his homework and going to school in between weekends. That's not okay. I don't like it.
What a king. Now it's time to play our game. We have a very fun fill in the blanks to play with Taylor Swift lyrics. I'm very excited. I love these.
I'm very nervous. I'm not good at these.
Fun little challenge. Do you want to go first or should I?
I'll go first. Okay. Are we just going to do 3 and 3? Probably easier.
Hype.
Okay.
Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'll become like pissed if I lose, but like I get so nervous. There's a good chance.
You are probably not.
I tried to give you ones you'd know.
Okay. I think her ever-present frown is a little troubling, and she thinks I'm psycho.
Cause I like to rhyme her name with things.
Okay. I don't think I chose like very difficult ones. I just chose what inspired me.
I love Better Than Revenge.
Okay, so clearly you've gotten one. Who's surprised? All right. Something happens when everybody finds out. See the vultures circling dark clouds.
Love's a fragile little flame. It can burn out.
It could burn out, but I guess I'll give it to you. All right, last one. Gray and blue in flights and tunnels.
Handcuffed to the spell I was under.
Yeah. Maybe I should have given harder
From Guilty
ones.
of Sin.
Maybe I should have.
Great one, honestly. Sorry, fresh out the slammer.
I think we should deduct a point for that.
No, because I know the other one was from I Know Places, so.
Okay. All right, here we go.
I feel that's 3 for 3.
I'm scared.
Okay.
I'm really bad at things like this.
Do you want me to give you the song? Just like,
no.
Okay. What would you do if I break free and leave us in ruin?
What?
What would you do if I break free and leave us in ruin?
Can I have the song?
Tolerate it.
I don't know the words to Tolerate It.
What? We've listened to it so many times.
I'm afraid I have never listened to the words.
And watched the movie. It's such a good line.
Is that the one with the table? Mm-hmm. See, I do know what it is. I just don't know the words. And I don't think I could even picture the song in my head, but I do know it. But I don't know this.
What would you do if I break free and leave us in ruin, took this dagger in me and removed it?
Starting off strong.
Pretty good, yep. So that's automatically a victory for me, so woo!
What a surprise.
But number 2, This is one I recently showed you.
Oh
So
God.
see how much you paid attention to both the lyrics when you listened to it and to the video I made you. To a house, not a home, all alone 'cause nobody's there, where I pace in my pen and my friends found friends who care. Blank.
So I'm afraid that once again does not help me because I also do not know the lyrics.
This is from Dear Reader.
I have listened to it
In the video.
but not enough to like I remember the connections. Like she'll give me videos where she'll do like the driver song connections before we put them on the podcast, and I'll listen to the song, but usually I'll think of the connections more after I know the song, and I don't know this one yet.
It's to a house, not a home, all alone 'cause nobody's there, where I pace in my pen and my friends found friends who care. No one sees when you lose when you're playing solitaire.
Naturally.
Does that even ring a bell?
Maybe. No, look,
Okay.
because then I listened to the song.
Sorry, guys, I have like a cold.
I listened to the song, and then I like maybe like watch the video again. I'll be like, okay, I get it now. But I have to like have the foundations of the song to like remember.
Great song. I didn't like it the first time I heard it, but
It's like it's all right. It wasn't like it's not gonna be like on repeat.
It
was
grows on you. It grows on you, Chess. Last one.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Also from a driver song connection.
Okay.
So 10 months sober, I must admit, just because you're clean don't mean you don't miss it. 10 months sober, I won't give in.
Now that you're it's like now that you're with me. Is that right? It's the okay. Wait,
No.
wait. Read it again.
10 months sober, I must admit, just because you're clean don't mean you don't miss it. 10 months sober, I won't give in. I love the song so much. It's so pretty.
Now that
Now that
I'm in.
She's getting there.
Now that
We'll give her 0.5 points.
So
You want to hear it?
Yeah.
Now that I'm clean, I'm never gonna risk it.
See, that would make sense.
Agreed.
I swear, I really do know that one.
I know. I saw you had an inkling there.
Yeah.
I saw like
the thoughts were there. Like if I heard the song, I could sing along. It's just I don't think I could sing that part alone.
That's valid. It's a great bridge.
I could sing the other parts. Okay, so we saw who clearly won.
Guys, I love when we play fill in the lyrics.
I don't.
It's such a good one though.
Yeah.
No, like I wish like I could just get like 50 of these, you know, like it's so like exciting.
I don't, but I love that for you.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll do fill in the F1 quote one day again.
Yeah.
That's
Watch me like suck at that one too or something.
I don't remember what happened last time we
like,
did it, but
I know things. I do. I'm not this stupid in real life.
It's okay. No one's gonna think you're stupid because you don't know a few Taylor Swift lyrics.
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Some people a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Thank you.
So that was our episode for today. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Slightly eventful weeks. Nothing out of the blue.
Nothing too crazy
anything.
other than Liam, which once again isn't that crazy.
Played a fun game. We're always looking for more game suggestions though. So if you guys have any, we're always very down to hear that. As well as any ideas for driver song connections. Always helpful as well. And just any ideas for the podcast in general. We just really appreciate everybody who listens, whether it's on Spotify or whether you watch our videos on YouTube.
Yeah.
We just hope you liked it.
Yeah. So we're Cut the Headlights on Spotify, Cut the Headlights podcast on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Maybe not Instagram. Instagram, maybe just Cut the Headlights. I don't know. I can't even remember my own Instagram username. So,
but you should.
Yeah, and it's literally it's just my first and last name. So that's okay. Okay, go look at all of our social media. We have a link tree now. Pretty cool.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll be back next week to
what race
discuss
is it?
Jeddah.
Great.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Bye.